Yes, Hagar? What is it? Do you think we're almost done here? I don't want to waste too much time. It really would be best if we got back before sunset. Traveling in the dark is dangerous in this day and age, I said, trying to keep my gaze on Hagar, but always finding it drifting back to Mother, who was now lazily gazing up at the ceiling. What did she want from me? Did she just want to watch? Was she trying to tell me something? Hey, Miss Athalia, I was just thinking that, you should come, look at this canned food over here. I want to make sure that you approve of it before I pack it up to take it back. What? I'm sure it's fine, Hagar. Just use your own intuition. If it's not expired or anything like that, then I'm sure it's fine. We aren't really in a position to be particularly picky. We have a lot of mouths to feed after all. I am sure that someone will be happy to eat prunes or whatever it is you found over there. Well, Miss Athalia, I just, really want to make sure, you know? Don't want to waste, any time or energy. Hagar gave a short, uncomfortable bark of a laugh, strange enough that I was able to glance at her for a moment, away from Mother. Hagar's eyes darted back and forth, glancing around the store constantly, as though she was looking for something. I thought at first that maybe she was just nervous about being out of the apartment building, all exposed out here. But no, this didn't seem like that at all. It was like she was nervous about something else. It was like she was nervous about me. I glanced behind me to the other end of the aisle, but it was too dark to see. But wait, what was that? A slight shift, a movement in the dark. Was it one of the beasts? I quickly brought up my flashlight around to check, and was surprised to see it shining not into the slathering mouth of a beast, but rather into the face of one of the men from our group, the one with only 3 yellow teeth. He shielded his eyes from the bright light with one hand, the other holding onto the shelf to help stabilize him against all the refuse on the ground. What on earth are you doing? I snapped, my heart beating in my ears from the shock of suddenly seeing a face behind me in the dark. I breathed heavily, trying to get that fear under control, feeling it slowly morph into anger. What is wrong with you? Were you trying to give me a heart attack? Sneaking up on me like that? I know we need to remain quiet, but give me a warning next time, I shouted, going against my own advice, but not really caring that much. What was wrong with this guy? For his part, he didn't react much to my outburst, but just remained staring at me, expression unreadable. I squinted my eyes at him, that same sense of familiarity washing over me again. Where did I know this person from? Why did I get such a sense of unease from him? What were you doing? I said again, tone much lower this time, almost a whisper. He didn't respond for a long time, just staring at me, before finally speaking. Just looking for supplies, Miss Athalia. That's all. He too spoke in a low, quiet voice, never taking his eyes off of me. Sorry if I scared you, he murmured, so quietly I almost didn't hear it. Something about this wasn't right. What was he doing here, on this aisle, when there was still so much of the store to check? Why was he looking at me like that? I swung the flashlight around to the other end of the aisle, nearly hitting Hagar with the motion, and found myself shining the beam directly onto the other man of the group, the one with the slightly better teeth. The two of them stood on both ends of the thin hallway formed by the shelves, effectively trapping me and Hagar in the center of them. Bad Teeth flashed me a disgusting smile, but if it was meant to reassure me, it did exactly the opposite. What is this? I said, flicking back and forth from Bad Teeth and the other man, who both didn't move. What are you doing? I glanced at Mother, who was now behind the quiet one, but she seemed completely indifferent to the whole situation as she checked her nails idly. Glancing back to the other man, I saw that he was now taking careful steps forward, making sure to not trip. Stop that, I commanded, trying to put as much authority into my voice as I could. You don't need to get any closer. He just looked up at me and took another step. I tightened my grip on my pipe as I glanced back and forth between the two. I stole a moment to look at Hagar, who was now standing a mere few feet away from me, and was shocked to find that she was staring down at the floor, not reacting at all to the strange circumstances that were happening. Was she not as worried as I was? Was she trying to hide her tears? You really don't recognize us, the man on the other side of the aisle stated, the one with the yellow teeth. You really don't remember. I'm hurt, Miss Athalia. I thought you cared about every member of the flock. The other one snickered at that. I narrowed my eyes at him, mind racing a mile a minute at this situation that I had found myself thrust into. They had seemed rather familiar ever since I had first seen them at the beginning of this trip. Where did I recognize them from? Where? I racked my brain, but then, as the light refracted off Bad Teeth in a certain way, it suddenly hit me. You're the men that asked me for food, back when I first became leader. I remember you, I said, pointing at Bad Teeth. You did all the talking. And you, I said, pointing at the other one, who still had yet to speak at all in my presence. He said your name. It was Logan, or Larry, or something like that. Legion, Bad Teeth said. He doesn't talk much. Only to me, really. Says he has enough going on with the people in his head. As for me, madam, he gave a sarcastic little bow. My name is Jehu. Not that I think you particularly cared. He looked up with a nasty gleam in his eye. I mean, you never even bothered to learn our names in the first place. And you call yourself our leader. He straightened up to his full height, which I noticed for the first time was at least a full head taller than me. They both were. I gritted my teeth, ignoring the slight shiver that went down my spine. I was the one in charge here. I was the powerful one, the special one. What do you want? I demanded, voice low and controlled. Jehu took another step towards me, causing me to take an involuntary step back, closer to Legion. Hagar, however, didn't move at all, but just kept her head bowed, staring straight down at the floor. What was she doing? Was she frozen in fear? What do we want? Jehu repeated lazily, slowly pulling a knife out of his sack. My grip tightened on my pipe even further, so hard now that it was almost shaking. I glanced behind me to see Legion pick up a heavy-looking brick off the ground. Not as immediately dangerous, perhaps, but I still knew that a hard blow to the head from that would be the end of me. I guess, Jehu continued, causing my attention to snap back to him. Well, I guess we want you to step down as leader of our little group. Oh, Miss Great Athalia. We think that, simply put, you're not doing the best of jobs running the show. Ah, so that's what it was. A power play. You little worm, I sneered. You just want to take me out so you and your idiot friend can rule the roost. Well, I'm sorry to tell you this, but nobody would accept you. Even if you do fight me and Hagar here, and even if you do win, the moment you got back to the flock, they would disavow you and immediately come search for the two of us and bring us back to our rightful place. So you might as well just give up this idiocy now. I'll tell you what, if you do, I'll let you off with a light punishment for this treason, and I won't even tell anyone else that you did this, so you do not lose face in front of your friends. That way, we can all just put this foolishness behind us and move on with our lives. How does that sound? There was nothing but silence for a few seconds, and then suddenly, Jehu's laughter filled the room, a nasty, high-pitched noise. Legion's giggles joined him soon after, a nasally disgusting thing. I twirled angrily between the two, trying to figure out what was so funny. Were they really that delusional? But even as I spun, I caught a glimpse of Mother behind Jehu, looking right at me once more, and my heart sunk when I saw her roll her eyes. Disavow? Us? Oh, that is rich. You know what? Maybe I was wrong about you, Athalia. Maybe you do have a sense of humor after all. And fighting Hagar? That's good stuff. He laughed again, shaking his head as he took yet another step closer. He and Legion were nearly on top of me now. What are you talking about? They would notice that I was gone. They wouldn't miss that. And Hagar may not be the best fighter, but she will fight to the very end. Right, Hagar? I turned and looked at her, but she kept her eyes downcast, refusing to look at me. Hagar? She finally spoke then, words so quiet I almost couldn't hear them. Miss Athalia, just give up, please. There's no need for anyone to get hurt. I really don't want to see anything bad happen. I think we could, just resolve this peacefully. It was like someone had just splashed cold water in my face. Hagar, what are you talking about? What do you mean, give up? You're not just gonna stand idly by and let these men attack me, are you? She turned her head away from me then, as Jehu gave yet another derisive laugh. Stand idly by? This whole thing was her idea. She was the one who insisted we do it while on this little trip. Don't want to cause a scene in front of everyone, she said. He shrugged his shoulders. I agree with her. No need to get the community involved. So just the three of us. Well, her too. But she said she wanted to stay out of it entirely. He jerked his thumb at the other woman, the one whose name I didn't know, who was now hovering at the far end of the store, safely behind the register near the exit. She didn't know it, but she was standing right next to Mother, who was now watching this whole scene with mild interest, her strange, fluid motions causing me a sense of unease even now. I envied that other woman, so close to Mother that she was, so close to the exit, to freedom, not trapped as I was. I hated her. I hated Legion and his stupid muteness, and Jehu and his terrible teeth. I looked at Hagar. I hated her too, but more than that, I was confused. She had never been anything other than the most loyal of companions up until this very moment. How could this happen? Why, Hagar? I asked, causing her to jump suddenly, as though I had shocked her. Did she really not expect me to ask? Why are you doing this? Have I not always been kind to you? Have I not always treated you well? She shook her head, still not looking at anything. At me. Did I not treat you as one of my own? Took you in as my second in command? I could hear the confusion in my own voice as I asked. Finally, she spoke, her voice soft, but firm. Miss Athalia, you are not well. You have been acting stranger and stranger, and it's only getting worse. Just earlier today, you were just having a conversation with me, when suddenly you started screaming. That was really bad, Miss Athalia. That was a very bad look. And then you just tried to brush it off, like it was nothing. I couldn't believe it. Her voice began to rise as she continued, gaining more confidence in what she was saying. And then, on this very same day even, you just wandered off in the middle of a speech. A speech about what was going to happen to one of your own. And that excuse about checking the building? Did you really think I was going to believe that? Her stutter, her timid and unsure way of speaking, it was gone now. It was like she was a completely different person. But maybe you did! She finally looked up at me now, and looked directly into my eyes, her own blazing with what I can only call anger. I actually think you did expect me to buy that, because you think I am a child! You treat me like one constantly, like I'm some helpless little girl that has no idea what's going on. But I'm not. I am 28 years old, and I am not a child or a fool. And I refuse to be treated like that any longer. And it's not like you act much better to the rest of us. We let you lead because you seem to know what was going to happen before it happened. Like you knew something we didn't. But you pulled that trick, what? Once? Maybe twice? And then never again. Instead, you got more and more unstable, leading us on bizarre journeys to your old apartment building that you got kicked out of. Journeys that, while we were on them, the guy who called you out on the fact conveniently didn't make it to the end of. So no, I don't think you're in a good place to lead the flock right now. I'm really starting to wonder if you ever were, she shouted, chest heaving from the force she was putting into her voice. There were tears streaming down her cheeks, but she still never broke eye contact with me, not once. It was clear that this took a lot out of her. It was also clear that she had been holding it in for a long time. For a long, long moment after her little speech, there was silence, with only the sound of Hagar's labored breathing to fill the room. Everyone just stared. Even Mother, all the way in the back, was giving the matter her full attention now, her vibrant, electric blue eyes taking it all in with an unsettling, cool confidence. I was shocked into silence. I simply couldn't believe what had just happened. Hagar was still staring at me, her breathing slowly getting calmer, but never backing down. Finally, I spoke, voice vibrating with barely controlled rage. How dare you? How dare you, you little bitch? How dare you think you can talk to me like that? I am the leader, the authority, the one in charge. You can't talk to me like that. I have done everything for you and the flock. Do you have any idea what I have done? What I have sacrificed? No. No, of course you don't. Because you are a spoiled little brat that just goes through life thinking that everything will work out, that mommy will handle it all. Well, guess what? I did. And this is the thanks I get? With you, what? Turning on me here, in this place? Right when I finally have it all? Right when my dreams are about to come true? I was shouting now too, not caring who or what heard. I jabbed an angry finger at her and screamed, I don't think so! You brat! I worked my ass off for you, and you don't even have the decency to just keep your fucking head down and give me a thanks every now and then. No, it's all, Miss Athalia, we need to do it differently, this, and Miss Athalia, I don't know if that's a good idea, that. Shut up! Shut up! I know more than you, I'm smarter than you, I'm better than you, and you better never fucking forget it! I was positively shaking with rage at this point. I was so furious at the way she was treating me. Without even thinking about it, I grabbed a random item off a shelf nearby and threw it at Hagar. A wrench that was probably used in car repairs or something. I didn't know, and I didn't care. It smacked her in the stomach, causing her to double over in surprise and pain as she let out a soft, pitiful gasp. Seeing her like that, so weak, just infuriated me even more. How dare she act small and fragile after the way she just hurt me? After the way she treated me? I saw red, letting out a scream as I flung more and more at her, hitting her in her back, head, arms, legs, anything I could reach. I couldn't stop myself, and I didn't want to. She deserved it. Hiding things from me, acting like it was okay, lying to me. There was so much rage, I almost couldn't believe it. But it was real, maybe the only real thing in the world. It was like there was no past, no future, only this moment, and only these emotions that I couldn't keep down. Hagar fell to the floor, pulling her arms up to her face in an attempt to shield herself, while also trying to crawl away at the same time, resulting in an awkward backward slide that didn't really succeed in either. I went to grab something else, but found my hands empty, all my ammunition exhausted already. I took a step towards her, whether to kick her or hit her with my pipe or something else, I don't know. And I never will, because in that moment I felt someone grab my arm forcefully, causing me to come to a stop. I whirled around to see Jehu holding his knife up, in an expression that told me he was willing to use it. I moved just a bit faster, however, and hit his raised arm with my pipe, causing him to drop it and stagger backwards. You bitch! He growled, holding his newly injured arm. I panted, holding the pipe between us to block his advance, quickly kicking his knife under the aisle so he couldn't get to it anytime soon. My eyes flickered back and forth between him and Hagar, who was still sitting on the floor, moaning in pain. I felt a flash of empathy for her, now that I was no longer solely concentrated on her and what she had said, but I didn't have time to think about that right now. There was a rapidly recovering man in front of me, with an exceptionally pissed-off look on his face, and it was only a matter of time until he came back to me. I wasn't sure how long I could reasonably hold him off with the pipe, and even if I did, what happens after that? Going back to the flock was going to be near impossible with this group. I needed to come up with a plan, an excuse I could give them, Maybe I could say that we all got attacked by a beast, that I tried to save them, but it was too late. Would they buy that? Maybe, if I had time to figure out the story. And then maybe I could grab that pretty red dress on my way back and. Suddenly, light exploded in front of my eyes, and I was down on the ground before I even realized it, a high pitched ringing in my ears. For a second, I couldn't understand what was happening. Then the pain hit, a sharp and all encompassing thing that overwhelmed every thought. I groaned and rolled over to see the other man, Legion, standing above me, brick in his hand. Oh, right, he was there too. Well, there goes those plans. He quickly followed my lead from earlier, taking the pipe away from me the same way I did Jehu's knife. Just a short moment later, he yanked my backpack off of me, presumably due to worries I had more weapons in there. I grasped weakly as he dumped it out, causing all my random garbage to spill everywhere, making the mess even worse than it already was. I gasped as I saw my package of meat slide out of it, and despite my desperate hopes that no one would see it, they of course did. Legion picked it up, a confused look on his face that quickly morphed into disgust as he held it in his hands. He showed it to Jehu, who was now towering over me. "What the?" he murmured, taking it from Legion into his own hands. He glanced from it to me, before grimacing and throwing it as far away as he could over the aisle. "Nasty stuff," he said, leering down at me. "I can't believe I was willing to eat that slop at some point. I still have no idea where you got it from. Can you believe that? But, well, I'm not a complete moron. All these beasts things start showing up, and right before that you get some mystery meat. You found one of those things, didn't you? Managed to kill it, or it was already dead, and you stripped its flesh from its bones in your sick power play. Fed it to us, no care at all if it could have made us sick. Fuck, maybe it did, and we don't even know it." That wasn't quite right, but I found that most of my concentration was taken up by the pounding headache that consumed my every thought, and so I didn't bother to correct him. For the second time again today, I felt I understood what it was like to be that bug man. What was his name again? I guess it didn't matter. I managed to, with great effort, bring my hand around to the back of my head, my arm moving as though I was dragging it through mud, and when I pulled it back into my vision, I saw blood smeared onto my fingertips. That was probably bad. "Alright, enough of this. We've done what we came here to do. It's time to get out before anything else happens." Jehu suddenly roughly grabbed me and pulled me up into a standing position, causing me to heavily sway and nearly colliding with the shelves next to me. Suddenly, he froze, as did Legion and even Hagar. I didn't understand why, at first. Why they were all standing stock still and staring at me like that, until I realized what had happened. When Jehu had pulled me to my feet, he inadvertently pulled my shirt up too, revealing my midriff and the eye on my torso that was now looking around at everyone and everything. They had seen it.